Friends, we can all see that many white bloggers have millions of followers. Please support me too, because my followers are still few. Black bloggers also deserve to be famous. Raise fist medium dark skin tone. My friends, let's unite and lift each other up. Please press subscribe button and like. The concept of home was a thing Sergeant Isaiah Grant was still learning to inhabit. It had been 4 days since he'd landed in Dalton, Georgia, and the phantom weight of desert sand still clung to the seams of his boots. His first and only stop had been Mama Rose's house. Her embrace was the only armor he needed, a shield more impenetrable than any tactical vest. Sitting on her porch as the last of the Georgia sun, a bruised orange yolk sank below the tree-lean. Isaiah felt the wire-tight dread in his shoulders finally begin to unravel. For the first time in a year, he could just breathe. The next morning, he put on his dress uniform. It wasn't for show. It was a part of him. It was how Dalton knew him, a symbol of something solid and true to the local kids who saw him, a duty he carried with pride. Around noon, he was driving his mom's old Ford sedan down Willow Creek Road, a quiet ribbon of asphalt that led to Peterson's corner store. The bell on the door jingled, a bright, untarnished chime that sounded exactly as it had a decade ago. He grabbed a cold water and an ice cream sandwich, a simple, perfect taste of the life he'd been fighting for. Mr. Peterson, his face a road map of kind wrinkles, looked up with a hearty laugh. "Well, would you look at that? I thought you were still overseas keeping the world safe." Isaiah's lips curved into a tired smile. "They had to let me go, Mr. Peterson. My mom's cooking is a threat to national security." The old man chuckled, his gaze warm. "Your mama comes in here every day for that sweet tea. Swears by for her bad knee." Isaiah just nodded, the mundane warmth wrapping around him like the humid air outside. But as he stepped back onto the porch, the comfort evaporated. Across the street, a pale woman, a specter of unease, stood by a dumpster. She clutched her purse to her chest like he was a mugger from 100 yards away, her eyes narrowed and cold. Her phone was clutched low in her hand, a hidden weapon. Just another day. Isaiah thought, a familiar ache settling in his chest. He never imagined her trembling fingers were already dialing 911. In combat, he'd learned the most dangerous threat is the one you don't see coming. He'd barely closed his car door when the street erupted in a flash of red and blue. A police cruiser, its siren dying with pathetic yelp, screeched to a halt right behind him. Another swerved aggressively, blocking him from front. His hands went to steering wheel instinctively, open, still, and non-threatening. The ice cream sandwich, completely forgotten, began to melt in its wrapper. In his rear-view mirror, 2 officers emerged. The driver, a thick-set man named Miller, moved with an arrogant swagger, his hand already resting on his holstered weapon as if he was daring the world to give him a reason. Isaiah's Ranger training took over. Asterisk, stay calm. Move deliberately. Give them no excuse. Asterisk. Officer Miller marched to the window and rapped the glass hard with his knuckle. He didn't ask for a license. He didn't ask a single question. He just barked an order. Out of the vehicle. Now. Isaiah looked at the man, his own composure a stark contrast to the officer's raw aggression. "Is there a problem, officer?" Miller's lip curled into a sneer. "Yeah, there's a problem. The problem is you. Now get out of the damn car before I pull you out." His eyes swept over the army dress uniform with undisguised contempt. Look at this guy, he thought. Thinks the costume makes him special. Isaiah opened the door slowly. His movements were measured, his hands always visible. This was his home, yet he felt the old, familiar tension of being behind enemy lines. His military ID was clipped to his uniform, impossible to miss. "I'm Sergeant Isaiah Grant," he stated, his voice a calm, solid anchor in the brewing storm. "United States Army Rangers." Miller squinted at the name tape on his uniform with deliberate ignorance. "Says here, your name is Grant." He mispronounced the name, dragging it out like an insult. "And I don't give a damn what costume you're wearing. We got a call about a suspicious man causing trouble." "Causing trouble?" Isaiah repeated the ugly accusation, hanging in the humid air. "Sir, I just bought a bottle of water at the store." That's not what we heard, Miller snapped, stepping closer, crowding Isaiah's space. Before Isaiah could process the move, Miller grabbed his arm, spun him hard, and slammed him against the side of the car. The metal frame bit into his ribs. You're going to learn some respect. Cold steel snapped around his wrist, cinched painfully tight. Click! Then the other wrist. Click! The cuffs were locked, their metallic chill a profound violation. Across the street, the woman who'd made the call watched with a look of grim satisfaction. A small crowd was gathering. Jamal, a young mechanic from the local garage, stood frozen for a beat before his hands, shaking with fury, raised his phone. "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" Jamal yelled, his voice cracking. "That's Sergeant Grant. The man's a damn war hero." Miller shot him a venomous glare. "You better back off, kid, or you're next." He turned back to Isaiah, yanking him upright by the cuffs. "Now, as I was saying," he said, his voice low and menacing, "we'll get your little story straight down at the station." Isaiah stood firm, his gaze unwavering, his mind a whirlwind. Escalating this physically was a losing battle. The only weapon he had left was the truth. "My name is Sergeant Isaiah Grant," he repeated, his voice louder now, projecting across the street for all to hear. "My commanding officer is Colonel Harding at Fort Sterling. I suggest you make a call." Miller just laughed, a short, ugly bark. "Oh, I'm sure your colonel is probably just waiting by the phone for you." But Jamal, refusing to be silenced, was already dialing. "This isn't right," he muttered, his thumb mashing the call button. He was calling the one man whose authority even a cop like Miller couldn't possibly ignore. What nobody on that street knew, least of all Officer Miller, was that 40 miles away at Fort Sterling, Colonel Harding was in his office, and his entire world was about to pivot on a single incoming phone call. Colonel Harding was mid-briefing, his attention split a dozen ways when his personal cell phone buzzed. It was an unknown number from the Dalton area code. He answered with a clipped, "Harding." "Colonel Harding? My name is Jamal. I work at the garage down the street from Sergeant Grant's mother. Sir, the Dalton PD has him in handcuffs outside Peterson's corner store. He's in his full dress uniform. He didn't do a thing, and they're treating him like a criminal." Colonel Harding sat bolt upright, his posture instantly turning to granite. "Did you say Sergeant Isaiah Grant?" "Yes, sir. He told him to call you, but they just laughed in his face." "Give me the exact address." "Now." The call ended. The colonel stood, his face a mask of cold fury. He turned to the young captain in his office. "Get me the dispatch supervisor at the Dalton Police Department. I want you to tell them that Colonel Harding is to be patched through to the unit currently detaining one of my rangers. Not in 60 seconds. Right now." Back on Willow Creek Road, Isaiah stood in cuffs. They hadn't read him his rights. They hadn't named a crime. By now, a half-dozen phones were recording a silent jury of witnesses. The woman who'd made the call had vanished, melting back into the shadows she came from. Jamal stood his ground on the sidewalk. "I called his colonel," he shouted, making sure Miller heard every single word. "He's calling your dispatch as we speak." Miller sneered. "Kid, you got a big mouth. You really need to learn when to shut it." "No." Jamal shot back, his fear burned away by defiance. "You need to take those cuffs off a hero." Just then, the radio on the younger officer's shoulder crackled. Then a sharp, urgent voice cut through the static. "Unit 12, stand by. Priority transmission from Fort Sterling. Colonel Harding is on the line for your senior officer." Both cops froze. Miller's smug expression dissolved as if it were hit with acid. The blood drained from his face. He fumbled for his radio, his hands shaking just slightly. "This is Officer Miller. Patch him through." A moment of static, and then a voice came through the speaker. It was perfectly calm, controlled, and carried the weight of absolute, unquestionable authority. "This is Colonel Harding. To whom am I speaking?" Miller swallowed, his throat suddenly bone dry. "Officer Miller, Dalton PD." The colonel's voice didn't get louder, but it seemed to drop 20 degrees. "Officer Miller, you are currently detaining Sergeant Isaiah Grant, a decorated ranger under my command. He is not a person of interest. He is not under investigation. He is a war hero who returned to this country less than 96 hours ago. Unless you can cite the specific felony you personally witnessed him commit, you will remove those handcuffs immediately. If you are curious about the fate of the story and what happened to people, and you want to see the ending, subscribe to the channel and write Part 2 in the comments. White heavy check mark.